lawmakers. The latest decision by Democrats is being framed as a united effort to take on the president. But as to who is calling the shots, that remains up in the air. Joining me now from our bureau in Washington, D.C., political correspondent and video journalist for PJ Media, Nicholas Ballasy. Nicholas, thank you very much for joining us. A very hectic week, but I want to focus on the Democrats' response to what's going on right now. This has been a very fast thing ever since this report first surfaced. Is time of the essence when it comes to bringing forth these allegations?
So right now, where it stands, there actually hasn't been a formal vote in the House on the impeachment inquiry. So right now, it's just, Speaker Pelosi saying they intend to open this impeachment inquiry. I mean, as you know, the respective committees in Congress have already been exercising a lot of oversight in the House of the Trump administration, like the Financial Services Committee, Judiciary Committee. So that's going to continue. And, the formal impeachment inquiry vote should be held soon. And as you mentioned at the top of the segment here, I mean, the votes look like they're there in terms of authorizing the inquiry, going forward with it. And I think the House will ultimately, at some point, looks like before the end of the year, at some point, actually take the vote on the articles of impeachment.
Now, is this intentional by House Speaker Pelosi to kind of go this route? I mean, for example, when she made this announcement, she said she would be launching a formal inquiry. But a lot of Democrats also kind of say that nothing's really changing as of right now. As you were saying, the official vote hasn't taken place. Adam Schiff said that might happen maybe in the next week or two. But as far as laying out really what happens next, I was kind of expecting a more forceful rollout when it comes to impeaching the president. But it kind of seems like Speaker Pelosi is kind of going the route that she has been in the past, kind of investigating, but doing so at her own pace. Is that intentional, do you think?
Well, I think by announcing the inquiry, it kind of makes everything official, that this is what the Democrats are looking for. They're looking for something that will ultimately result in a justification for impeachment. And I think the Ukraine transcript, once it was released, was really what they needed. I mean, if you listen to Adam Schiff, for example, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, that's a roadmap. He sees this whole situation from the whistleblower report, the complaint from the whistleblower, to the actual transcript as a roadmap to impeachment. So that is the formal layout now. I mean, the vote will probably come on the inquiry, and the vote will probably come on the actual articles of impeachment.
And acknowledging the fact that there's 53 Republican senators right now in the upper chamber, it doesn't look very likely that President Trump will get removed from office. I mean, you could hear those 35 or whatever it is silent senators that say that they'd vote if it was a silent vote or a secret vote, but that's not how the process works. So acknowledging that, the fact that there's 53 senators in the upper chamber, is this more so about the election, the upcoming election in 2020, and really kind of surfacing information against the president and hanging this over his head when they get to the general election?
There's definitely a political aspect to this on behalf of the Democrats. I mean, think of what could happen if this goes through. There is the vote, the formal vote on articles of impeachment. The Senate has to figure out what they're going to do, which probably will be not to impeach the president, given the numbers and the votes you just mentioned. But we're not that far away from the 2020 general election.
Right.
So it's definitely a political move, because if you think about it, there was talk of impeachment by a lot of members of the Democratic Party in Congress during the whole Russia probe, before a lot of the facts ultimately came out. Then when everything came out in terms of the investigation and Mueller's report, it kind of died down after Mueller testified. And now the Ukraine transcript is the main thing that Pelosi is using to say, look, we're opening the inquiry to impeachment, and the timing of this is definitely related to politics. I mean,
it is.
You can't deny it.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting timing, too. I mean, for example, if you go off the Clinton impeachment, it started, I believe, in October and ended in February. So it wasn't that long of a process within itself. And if you apply that same timeline to right now, you're going to be overlapping with Iowa and New Hampshire. And I think it's important to note that a big part of the Republican defense on this will most likely be the fact, that, or at least the allegations, that Joe Biden may have been involved in corruption in Ukraine. It may have been a valid investigation to begin with. So he's going to be brought up in this process. Is that going to hurt him in these primaries, as we were just saying, when it goes over Iowa and New Hampshire in the upcoming months?
Some observers are saying it could hurt Biden because some facts could come out in terms of his son's business dealings in Ukraine and his role, Joe Biden's role in getting the prosecutor, the former prosecutor in Ukraine that was looking into the company Biden, his son, was working for. All those facts, things related to that could come out, and it could affect Biden. So that's definitely part of it. However, President Trump, he's fundraising off of all this. I mean, he's formed his impeachment defense team. His fundraising numbers have been going up. So it could help him. It could hurt Biden. But then others are saying, you know, in the end, other candidates are possibly happy about this in terms of the Democratic side, because it could help them, and Biden could slip in the polls because of this.
Right. I mean, we're already
with all the talk in the news about Ukraine.
Yeah. I mean, we're already seeing Warren kind of stepping up on him right now. Biden already kind of sliding, and this is before really we get into the details of this.